Welcome to second grade curriculum night. I'm so glad you could join us. We're going to listen to this presentation, and it's going to give us a lot of information that we need to know about second grade, about our assessments, report cards, and our new curriculum. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, you will have a packet of papers that were sent home with your child either yesterday or today, and we will be referencing these papers throughout the presentation. So if you don't have those out already, go ahead and grab those so that you can look at them as we're talking about them. The first green sheet, we're not going to actually be going over in the presentation, but this is from the district, and this is the grade level expectations from the district for second grade. The pink sheet we're going to look at is a sample report card, and then the blue sheets are going to be related to math. So first up, we have to talk about Focus. Focus is the online component where you will get your child's interim report card. We no longer print interims like we used to a few years ago. They only are online. So if you do not have access to Focus, you need a PIN number. And if you don't have the PIN number, you can email your child's teacher and your teacher will send you the PIN number. Report cards will still be printed and sent home in the envelopes for you to sign and return the following day. This is just for interims. So if you look at the pink sheet, this is our sample report card, and it should look very familiar because it is an exact same format as first grade. So all the same categories. We have English language arts, environmental studies, which is science and social studies, math, and then on the right-hand side is our lifelong learning skills, which is behavior and things like that, listens and follows directions. So we'll talk about a little bit about our grading scale in second grade. So this is the same grading scale that was used in first grade, O, S, N, and U. So an O means outstanding, and this means that they are consistently performing above grade level expectations. So if your child got O's in the fourth 9 weeks of first grade, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be getting O's in the first 9 weeks of second grade because the standards are higher, the expectations are higher, and so you probably won't be seeing a lot of O's at the beginning of the year because they're not performing above those grade level expectations quite yet. And S stands for satisfactory, which means that your child will be consistently meeting grade level expectations. And N stands for not consistently demonstrated. This does not mean needs improvement. So not consistently demonstrated means they're not always showing that they can do whatever it is on the report card. So for example, self-corrects when reading. If they are not always self-correcting, then they're not consistently doing it and they may get an N for that category. And finally, a U would be unsatisfactory, and that means not meeting grade level expectations. If you look at the back of the pink paper, you will see the different categories for reading, science, social studies, and math, and they give you a little bit more detail about what each of the things means. So we're going to look a little bit at the math ones because those are the ones that are a little bit more tricky and different from first grade. So the first one is understand number concepts. So this would include any type of place value, so hundreds, tens, ones, number patterns, which would be skip counting, money, graphing, time, odd and even. All of these things would be how they work with numbers. So it's not necessarily addition or subtraction. It's just understanding concepts of numbers. The next category is solves addition problems. In second grade, we go up to 3-digit addition and subtraction. So we start out very basic. At the beginning of the year, we've been doing 1-digit and 1-digit addition and subtraction using strategies like doubles and make a 10. So all of those strategies are very important to grasp addition through 20. So that's of our 1-digit and 1-digit numbers. And we practice those so that they will be more fluent in those strategies and in those addition problems so that they can do the 2 and 3-digit addition when we start that. We are starting 2-digit addition second 9 weeks, and then we will move on to 3-digit. The way that we get them assessed for their facts is we all do, I think, timed math fact quizzes in class. And this just tells us if your child can answer questions fluently. So fluently in math, because you probably have heard fluency in reading, but in math, fluency means they can answer a simple addition question or problem in about 3 to 4 seconds. So they shouldn't have to be counting on their fingers or drawing pictures or counting on in their head by so many. They should just know it like that. It should just take a few seconds for them to answer the question. And we do the timed math fact quizzes, and we also do extra math in class. And that is a computer program that will time the students to answer math facts. And once they go through and get their addition facts, it moves them on to subtraction facts. And then once they pass all their subtraction facts, it can even move them on to multiplication. And extra math can be done at home. So if you don't have a code for that and you would like one to do at home, you can also email your teacher and they will give you that extra math code. So our next category is solving subtraction problems. And this is the same as addition. We want them to fluently solve subtraction problems within 20. So we also want them to be able to fluently subtract. So we want to master addition and then move on to subtraction. So because we do move up to those 2 and 3 digit subtraction problems as well. And the last category is applies problem solving strategies. So this is word problems. Word problems are a big part of math, and they can be tricky because the students just want to add all the numbers or they just want to subtract all the numbers. And so especially when we do two-step word problems, it's difficult sometimes for them to understand what the problem is asking. So we discuss a lot about finding the key words and what is the problem actually asking us to do. Are we taking things away? Are we adding more things? And figuring out which operation. So that's the biggest thing, is knowing which operation to use in a word problem. And word problems can apply to a variety of concepts and skills under those number concept categories. So it could be a word problem about money, about measurement, geometry, fractions. All of those things can be included in a word problem. Okay, we're moving on from math to talk about our new reading curriculum. So I know that you all know we implemented a new reading curriculum this year called Benchmark Advance, and we are all learning how this program works together. It is brand new to us. We have never taught it before. The kids have never learned some of the things that we're learning. They're learning in class, and so just bear with us. We are learning and trying to give you guys as much information as we can about the program as we learn it as well. There are 10 units in this curriculum, and they're really great because they integrate everything with reading. So it's reading, writing, science, social studies. So it's got this interdisciplinary that just covers a wide variety of topics that they're going to learn about in these units. So our first unit was on plants and animals in their habitats, and we're wrapping up that unit this week. And next week we will start unit 2, which is on characters facing challenges. So look for information coming home soon about our new unit. And your child will be bringing home their consumable workbook for unit 1. So each unit is a different little booklet, and we keep it at school for the remainder of the unit. And then when we're done with the unit, we send to home. So by the end of this week, early next week, look for those unit 1 books to come home, and you can see everything that they've been reading and learning about in the first unit. The new reading curriculum does follow the new Florida benchmarks. So we got new standards, which are called benchmarks this year, and the new curriculum does meet all of those new benchmarks. And it does not always follow a traditional 5-day week. So we're used to starting with our old curriculum journeys. We would start a new skill or a new story on Monday, and we would finish it on Friday and take a test. And then the following week, we'd start a new story. This doesn't always follow that same pattern. So we might start a new skill on a Wednesday and test on the following Wednesday. Sometimes we've even tested on a Monday. So you really need to pay attention and read the newsletter each week to keep up with the skills that we are teaching. And the newsletter is 2 pages. So the first page, you'll see the calendar, and the second page is where you'll see the skills that we're learning with our essential question, our phonics skill, and our high frequency words. And so just pay attention to that. And so you just keep abreast with how and what we're doing in the classroom with our reading curriculum. Okay, now this portion, we're going to talk about the assessments that we give in 2nd grade. So for math assessments, we give many formative and summative assessments. So it might just be a quick check here and there, like, oh, let me see how they are doing on this skill, or it could be a test at the end of a week of the skill that we've been working on. We do the timed math fact quizzes, And these domain assessments, there's 4 domains in math we talk about: algebraic thinking, numbers and operations, measurement and data, and geometry. And we teach each of these domains in the 9 weeks. So the first 9 weeks, we teach algebraic thinking. Second 9 weeks is numbers and operations. Third 9 weeks is measurement and data. And fourth 9 weeks is geometry. So at the end of every 9 weeks, we give a domain assessment. So we're actually taking that assessment tomorrow or the beginning of next week for algebraic thinking. So we've been reviewing all this week on all of the standards we have learned this 9 weeks. And then starting second 9 weeks, we will begin learning numbers and operation standards. And then at the end of that, we'll take that assessment. And the last math assessment your child takes is the iReady diagnostic, which I'm sure most of you have heard of by now and should have gotten your child's scores for reading or math sent home to you. And we take this diagnostic 3 times a year. So they do it in the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. And we're just looking to see growth each time, to see that they're making gains. And we kind of compare it and look and see what areas they need to work on, and this kind of helps us alter our teaching to your child in class. Running records is another assessment we do for reading. So this is a one-on-one assessment that your child does with the teacher to determine their word attack skills and comprehension. So it has both components are a part of a running record. Can they read the words in the book, and can they understand the book? So if they can read all the words, they don't have any mistakes, but they can't answer the comprehension questions, then that tells us they're not on that level for what book they read. They have to be able to understand the words, even if they can read them. And so the district has set levels for students each 9 weeks for what expectations is for the 9 weeks for the running records. So coming into second grade, students should be a level 18. That's what they should be at the end of first grade coming into second. And by the end of the first 9 weeks, they should be a level 20. The end of the second 9 weeks, a level 24. Third 9 weeks is a 28, and a level 30 by the end of the year. So you will see this number on your child's report card every 9 weeks usually. And it'll tell you what the expectation is to remind you of what I just said, and then it'll tell you where your child is. So you'll know if they're meeting that goal for their assessment. So our iReady, we talked about the math iReady, and now the reading iReady assesses, we do this also 3 times a year, and it assesses these components: phonological awareness, phonics, high frequency words, vocabulary, comprehension with literature, and comprehension with informational text. So we also use this assessment to identify areas that your child might need to strengthen in and grow in, and areas that they already are really great and excelling in. And research has proven that students make gains in reading and math when they work in the iReady program. So it really helps them to work on their lessons and their path. And we do iReady math at school this year and reading at home. So please do not do the math lessons at home. Those are just reserved for at school. And the last few reading tests we're going to talk about is the reading assessments we do for, we call them a cold read. So this is comprehension, and we call it a cold read because it's a story they've never read before. So they read a story, and then it can have questions about comprehension, vocabulary, phonics, and it shows us if the students are understanding the skills that we're covering in our reading block during class for that week. The assessment days will vary. Like I mentioned when we talked about the curriculum, we will not always have an assessment on a certain day of the week. And according to district policy, not all of the reading tests can be sent home. And this is just to ensure that the test is kept secure. We will be using the same test every year while we have this curriculum. So if we send something home and you have a younger child who sees it, who's coming up to us, then they'll already be, aware of what the test is, and that would not be a fair assessment. And the last assessment we give is a phonics assessment. And this would be the weekly, I say weekly, but it's not Monday through Friday weekly, but the phonics pattern that we're learning. So like this past week, we did long A, and we took the phonics assessment for long A. And this is the different component this year because it's not a spelling test like you're used to. We're not doing a generic spelling test. Here's your list 1 through 10, even though they write those words in their planner, they're not spelling those words. We really want them to understand the phonics pattern so that they can apply it to reading and writing. And these are our last two reading tests I'm going to talk about for this evening. The SRI is called the Scholastic Reading Inventory, and this is usually done in the library with Miss Kublank during their media center time. And it is also given 3 times a year, and it gives a Lexile score. So a typical Lexile score for the year end proficiency is between a 220 and a 539. And knowing this Lexile score is really going to help your child be able to pick books on their level that they can read from the library. And the last assessment is the Phonics Screener for Intervention. This is called the PSI. And this is where students have to read nonsense words. And this shows that they can apply the phonics skill to unknown words. So if they know the phonics pattern, which goes back to our phonics assessment instead of a spelling test, if they understand the phonics pattern, then they should be able to apply that phonics skill to any word, even if it's a nonsense word, because they're following the same pattern. Okay, and I think that's all we have for you today. So if you have any questions, please type it in the chat and we are going to jump on the teachers and we will answer those for you. So thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great night.